guys, it's SJ. Happy Baby Name Monday, the first Baby Name Monday of 2021. I already feel better for being in a new year. Even though we're not in the best circumstances, I am wishing you all well and wishing you a happy new year. Do hit subscribe if you watch these videos and you're not yet subscribed. It's really easy, just click the button and then you can join us for a whole year of lovely baby name content, inspiration, ideas, just for fun, or if you're naming a baby. It's a great community here, so do say hello in the comment section below. Let us know any birth announcement. Haven't there been so many pregnancy announcements, which is amazing. I do feel it's going to be baby boom year. Fingers crossed. A bit of joy and happiness is what we need. And nature names today. It is my all-time absolute favourite. We talked last week about maybe doing this list, which is wild nature names. And oh my goodness, I've had so much fun researching them. And they're from all over. There's some animals, there's some place names, there's some word names, and there's some names that have a meaning of kind of this great outdoors, because I feel like we're getting much more adventurous. If you have somebody who loves travel or you've got a bit of wanderlust, this is the name list for you. It's just really adventurous as well. None of these names are actually ranking very high at the moment, but I do always filter some names on these, you know, when you Google them, are just so out there, but I do think these are wearable, if a bit brave, maybe a little bit brave, but not weird. So let me get on with my list. Let me know which of these you like, and let me know what you would add to this list in the comment section below, because what makes this such a brilliant community is that you guys are so good at names, and we end up with an ultimate list in the comment section as well. So the first name, this is starting with a bang actually, but it's the name Falcon. I really like it. I love it written down. It seems like a strong name. Like you can imagine I feel boy called Falcon. I think it sounds really good. Maybe because it's like Malcolm. A lot of these names I realised sound like a real name. So I'm going to be saying that a lot. But a falcon is a bird of prey. So I think it's got that real strength and grandeur to the name. Like Phoenix. Think how popular Phoenix is. You know, you can imagine being called Falcon and it not being too odd. And bird names really in style at the moment. Wren has been the most popular name for boys and girls actually. You guys like it a lot. Boomed over the last say 3 or 4 years, and that's a small songbird. So if we're looking for a more wild outdoors names, and we're seeing those trend a lot more, names like Hunter, Wilder, Ivy rather than Daisy, you know, we're wanting a bit more edge to our nature. We just miss nature. So I really do like Falcon, but if you think it's too out there for you, there is a variant, a species. There's 40 types of falcon, and one is the Kestrel, and I actually think that sounds so beautiful. It looks really good, I think, for either boy or a girl. So a Kestrel is actually a small variant of a falcon. There's 40 species of falcon, and a Kestrel is smaller than a pigeon, quite pretty bird, but still a bird of prey. And I just think that Kestrel, to me, is on the right side of kind of hippie and beautiful. Like you can imagine just going down to a festival being called Kestrel. It's all good. You're going to be sorted. You've got your wardrobe sorted. So I do really have a soft spot for the name Kestrel. What do you think of it? I also love the name Moss. It is one we've talked about before, and it's getting a bit of buzz. I've seen it on quite a few baby name lists now. There were 7 boys named Moss last year, which is quite high. Well, not really, but a lot of these names are so totally unranked, and I can see Moss growing in popularity. I think I would 100% use it for like a middle spot if we're looking for a kind of rare name for the middle. And moss is getting really trendy for the home, isn't it? Like we've seen these moss bowls. Me and my sister made one, and they're beautiful, and you can see them. Khloe Kardashian always has them in her like dining table in the centre, and they're just really becoming quite on vogue. So actually the name Moss, I think it would be stunning for a girl. It's so supermodel with Kate Moss as your kind of inspiration. So I think a really great unranked name to pop onto your list for future. Or how about Valley? So a valley is a piece of lowland between mountains or hills, and it often has a stream or a river. And if you just Google valley, you'll just see some most beautiful photos, and it just immediately transports you to somewhere really stunning that you want to be, and kind of from a height. It's kind of almost got like a heavenly thing. You're always looking down into the valley, and it just offers that sort of protection as well. I think it's really nice, and I think the nickname Veil for it as well, kind of quite a romantic sounding name to me. I always think of a wedding veil. It does make me think of kind of quite preppy. I know that in America they have more of this kind of preppy and this Sweet Valley High type of thing, but we don't really have that association around the rest of the world. I don't really have that association. I just think it's this really, really pretty name, and again, for a middle spot, or you know, so similar to Valerie. Basically, these are all just spin-offs. That why would you not go with Valley? Briar is the name that inspired this whole list. We talked about Briar in our last video, which was the names that teenagers loved, and Briar came up a lot. So Briar is Sleeping Beauty's name, Briar Rose, and Briar is a kind of thorny bush and where wild roses can grow. And it's just that idea that we're getting into this, we'd rather be called Briar than Rose, and Briar is so lovely written down. It is a bit controversial, one you either love or hate basically. I think that's the thing with Briar. I really, really, really do like it. I'm sure I like bee names. I love Blythe and things like that as well, and Bronte, and Briar seems to really fit in with it. The only thing that would put me off is the Brian association. I feel like if you were a boy named Briar, you'd probably just end up just saying your name's Brian because everyone would get it wrong. So I feel for a girl, really nice, even as a double barrel. Maybe not Briar Rose because it's so synonymous with Disney, but if you don't want such a Disney name, have a think. Let me know below, what could you hyphen after Briar that isn't Rose? I really like the name Vine. So vine is any plant that has a tendency to kind of trail. So a bit like ivy. If you really like ivy and you're wondering if it has been overused or it will be overused by the time you have a baby, start having a think about the word vine. I love it. I think like vineyards, of everything like that. I think of like Tuscany. I think of this like beautiful kind of trellis. A lot of people put those up in their houses again now. I've seen a lot of that on Instagram, people with some vine leaves behind their bed and stuff like that. And I think it looks really pretty. I know that Vine was a social media app a few years ago, a bit like an early TikTok, where it's a short video app. So some people might really have that association with Vine. But to me, I think it's really nice. And you think about Vinny as well, it's really popular. Vine, yeah, I think it's nice with the I. I'm sort of convincing myself on this one, Vine. But no, I really like it, which is a new one to me and one that I think will grow on me over the next few weeks. I've put down Wilder and Hunter because they so fit into this list. I would say they were the poster boys for this list. Wilder, I thought would be more popular than it is, but there were only 16 babies named Wilder last year. So it still is a kind of out there choice, but so easy to say. And I feel like it's got that surname as first name thing to it, which makes it really, really wearable. And I don't think it sounds too, like, you know, some names where it's a bit too much of a label, like Wilder, you're going to be wild. If you're a very quiet Wilder, I think you could get away with it. It's sort of one of those names that is a word but works really well in its own right as a name. So I do really think it's sweet. And then obviously Hunter really peaked a couple of years ago. It's one of the fastest rising boy names in the UK, has already started to go out of fashion again. So it is one of those kind of fast fashion names that we talked about a little while ago, but I think it will kind of continue. It's at number 52, so I don't think it's going anywhere too quickly, Hunter. And of course the name Forest fits into this list. I love the name Forest. If you follow me for a while, you know I've got a big crush on the name Forest for a girl. I think it is beautiful for a girl. Starting to get a little bit of use. I'm not going to say it anymore. But yeah, Forest for a girl. I loved the name Lathan. So this sounds similar to Nathan. Seriously, I didn't plan that these all sounded similar to another name, Lathan, but it means a barn by the water. So it's one of those place names where you would have been called that to get your location, Lathan. But if you don't want such an obvious nature name, this really works, but I think it sounds strong and outdoorsy. It's a surname as first name kind of thing again. Does have a Hebrew meaning where it means God-given, which probably comes from Nathan, but Lathan I think is really nice. And I think where it's got that kind of L sound kind of softens it up a little bit and is a really strong contender for a name that's not too out there but is super unique. It's not being used at the moment. Tempest. How gorgeous is Tempest? I think this might be my favourite on the list because it's kind of got the Shakespeare link to it as well, but Tempest is a storm. So, you know, if you don't want to go full Kylie Jenner stormy, but you really like it, Tempest. I think it's really good. Maybe she will have another baby and call it Tempest, or maybe Kendall will have a Tempest. Yeah, I just think it's really, really pretty written down. It's got that strength to it. It's got that nice outdoors ruggedness that we're talking about. I can see it on a little girl or a little boy, so I think it's just a really brilliant name. And the play by Shakespeare, the theme is all around forgiveness and freedom, so I think it's got that real strength to it to make it a perfect hipster name, because a hipster name should be kind of outdoorsy but also have a strong bit of culture to it, and I feel like Tempest hits that nail on the head. Yeah, I think it might be my favourite. But there's also Zephyr. So Zephyr means west wind, and that's got a lot more popularity, so it's not so out there. There were 6 girls and 22 boys named Zephyr last year. It's got that Z that a lot of people really, really like, and it comes from Zephyros, who was the Greek god of the west wind. So yeah, that's a really, really good choice if we're not looking for something so out there, but you want to be in this trend, because this trend is not going to go anywhere. Nature names are always going to be a bit timeless because it's nature. So I do think that Zephyr is really great. Or how about Hemlock? So I can't remember, I did have Hemlock on a list before, and it is a poison, is an evergreen shrub that can be poisonous, that is poisonous to people as well. So it's an evergreen tree, sorry. So I really think it is the most stunning name, Hemlock, because Lockie is really popular for boys, Lachlan, and that lock sound, locket, we talked about as well, Hemlock, just looks really nice. If you can get past the fact that it's a poison, think about ivy. Ivy's done so well in the charts, and we often associate it with poison ivy. Hemlock could be your little name nugget of gold. So yes, pop it in your back pocket, have a think about it, Hemlock. Would it put you off that it's poisonous, or do you just think, I mean, if we're going to be called Hunter, why not be called Hemlock? Hunter and Hemlock, that's like a brand name right there. I've written down Everest, so mountain kind of names I was thinking about for this theme. Everest being a really popular one. There were only 3 babies called Everest last year, and Everest the mountain was actually named after George Everest, who was a surveyor who found it. It has a different name in Tibetan. But what was interesting was I found that the Everest comes from originally the French word Devereux, which means dweller by a river. Devereux. What do you think of that? Devereux, isn't it nice? It's a bit like the Margot ending with the EUX, Devereux. So pretty. Like, I feel like for a girl, that's a real offbeat nature choice. Devereux. Could I pull it off? Might just rename myself Devereux. But I just think it's so special as a name. I've not seen it on any name list at all, so a real gem. Montana. It's getting a little bit of popularity. There's an amazing YouTuber who I wanted to tell you about. I think she's called Tiny Acorns. She just had a little boy called Montana. She calls him Monty, but she's brilliant. She does all these vintage thrifting. So I will link her below, and her little boy is called Montana, and he goes by Monty. And I think it's really nice. It's the Spanish for mountain. Actually, there were 16 girls called Montana last year. We probably all have Hannah Montana blaring in our back of our minds, but I think written down like that just looks really stunning. Topanga. Let me know the TV series it's from in the comment section below. One of my all-time favourites when I was a little girl. But Topanga is a mountain range in California, I think, but it actually means where the mountains meet the sea. So just the perfect earthy, outdoorsy, wild nature name, Topanga. Super duper hippie. If you have a little inner hippie like me, then you want to release it through your children's names, then Topanga could be right up there. Topsy would be such a cute little nickname. I always wondered why she was called Topsy and her twin was called Tim in those books. Not very good naming there from their mum and dad, but Topsy and Topanga go really well. Oh, I really liked this one, Ignacio. So Ignacio means fire, Ignacio, and I feel like with those names that are in fashion now with the O ending, like Lorenzo, Franco, all these sort of Italian names, and Ignacio really suddenly seems to work. And I love Iggy as a nickname. I always wanted to find a great long name. It's Indigo, you could be Iggy, but Ignacio is super cool. It means fire, so it has that sort of strong outdoorsy vibe to it. You know, Horatio is very similar to Horatio, but I do prefer Ignacio looking at it because of the nickname Iggy. And fire, you know, that ignition is kind of really strong, cool trendy boy name, I think. I really love the name Rhodes. So it's really great if you feel like Rose for a girl is too overdone or just too sweet. You could go with Rhodes, and I think it'd be brilliant for either gender. Such a great non-binary name. Rhodes is mostly known for the Greek island, which is stunning. It's quite a rocky island and it's got lots of flora on it. So Rhodes actually was called that because it was Island of Roses. So what a beautiful name meaning as well for this gorgeous like landscape. There's also Rhode Island in over in America, which I think was an island that was created off Rhodes, the Greek island. But I just had this name in my mind all week. It's kind of just been sitting there and I've really loved it. Rhodes, I just think it's so romantic and strong and kind of rugged as well. Like I think for a guy called Rhodes, that would be really, really, really nice. Enya is an Irish name, means fire as well, like Ignacio, so you could have Enya and Ignacio. Enya is mostly known for the singer Enya, but I feel like with Eden I know quite a few little Edens now, boys and girls. And Enya could really be an alternative, even to some of the most popular names like Isla, right at the top there, Ivy. If you're just feeling like those names are being stolen a little bit, then Enya could be for you. And everyone kind of knows it, everyone can kind of spell it. There were 43 babies called Enya last year, so it is also in use, but very, very unique still. And the last name, such a nice one, is the name Coast. So we hear cove a lot lately, and even ocean, of course, but I really do like the name Coast. It is not something that you say a lot. Not many people say I'm going to go to the coast. Maybe they do. I never say that, just say go to the seaside. But I love the sound of coast because it's got more grandeur, and you think about that sort of really huge kind of where the sea meets the land really a lot. It kind of is very evocative as a name, Coast. Yeah, I really do like it. It's short, it's only one syllable, which is kind of makes sometimes for those, if you like word names, it's perfect for you. Some people really don't like word names, but I do, and I feel like Coast is really nice. We do have a fashion brand called Coast here, which some people might associate it with, but if you don't, then have a little think about Coast. Let it sit in your mind, write it down, play around with it a little bit. I think it could be a really gorgeous name. So those were my wild nature names that are totally unranked and new to me as well. So it's super fun to have a chat with you guys about them. Would any of those hit your baby name lists? It's so much more fun to have an imaginary baby name list, I can tell you, because when I was actually naming my babies, it was a lot harder than these make-believe ones, but these would all be on my make-believe list. Let me know which ones you like, and do add to these in the comment section below and send me some messages. I'll be around the messages tonight, and don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. You're brand new and you've watched all the way to the end. Do hit subscribe so you don't miss any more baby name videos, and request any name list you would like to see in the comment section as well. Lots of love, guys. Happy Baby Name Monday again, 2021. Let's hope it's good. Bye, guys.